it's just me. Also, I think I'm quiet, so hold on a sec while I just boost my volume a little bit. Filters. Let's just bump that up to 10. That's probably a bit aggressive. Okay. Alright, hello. How's the sound? That should sound about alright. Sounds terrible. Sound terrible. Is it actually terrible? Yeah, okay, audio, horrible. Alright. Why do you sound like... Okay, how does that sound? I'm probably a little bit quiet, but am I actually audible? Still bad.
Okay, how's this one sound? That one fixed? Good. Interesting. Okay. Maybe I just picked up the wrong mic again from the box. Because obviously, the most recent video I had issues with the audio, and I just assumed that I'd taken the wrong mic out of the box. However, yeah. I'm going to do a quick experiment. Let me just put this microphone down a sec. And I'm going to mute it. And now I unmute this microphone, and do I still sound okay? Or does this sound terrible again? Weird. So I did have the right microphone. Or did I swap that? Whatever. I think I'm getting the microphones backwards, and I think I've taken the right microphone out of the box, but I haven't, and the waveform bars are just strangely misleading. Or the microphone is giving me a loss of apparent pickup while it's inside the box, but it's just using all of the compressor to try and boost it now. Doesn't matter. Anyway, we have a working microphone. Right, one moment. Let me make sure. Now I need to remember which one it is that I put away. Let me try putting this one away. And...
Okay, right, there we go. Yes, the one that I put away... Okay, is it awful now? It looks awful. That's weird.
so I switched to the other microphone and now it's fine. Why does that microphone just not work properly on its own? This one works just fine on its own. But when I try and use that microphone on its own, it doesn't work. But when I had both of them whack, who knows? Doesn't matter. It's not a problem I need to solve right now. I will simply put the microphone on. Let's go for the lapel. One moment. Okay, very strange. Don't know what that was all about. However, we have a working microphone that's looking a little bit hot, so I'm just going to tone it down. Okay, right, there we go. I've just taken the gain out of it, and that should be a bit normal. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. No Caradog today. Unexpectedly had places to be. So yeah, unscheduled outing that we didn't know about until the last second. So I thought he was going to be about, but he is not. So I'm soloing today, and therefore I'm on the webcams. So yes, Monaco, yes. Unscheduled emergency visit to Monaco. But I'm sure he'll be back next week. So I'm soloing today. Now I was, I was going to take a look at that motherboard from the previous video, which would have been an excellent solo project. However, I've got this Steam machine here, which I'll talk more about in a moment, but I've only got this for another couple of days. I've got to give this back on Wednesday, I think it is. The person who owns it is going to come and get it. So this is basically a now or never stream. I only had about a week with it, and that's just not really enough time for me to actually do anything. So the only thing I could really do was be like, fine, I'm going to just unbox it and play with it on the podcast, so I can try and make some content with this thing while I have the opportunity. So yes. No, not another Steam Machine video. I haven't done a Steam Machine video yet. If you've been watching too many of them, that's your problem. So yeah. However, this is going to be just an impressions video, I guess. I should have spent a bit of time trying to formulate some kind of plan, but basically my thoughts are just to do some kind of just setup and thoughts video. I think the video that I'm going to make about the Steam Machine is going to be, I guess it's kind of a review, but it's going to be a video that just sums up my thoughts about the Steam Machine as a whole. Obviously, we've talked about it at length on the stream and stuff like that, and I'm going to try and record a video that just collates all of these thoughts into a single thing, and basically is just here's what I think of the Steam Machine. You know, the good, the bad, and the ugly kind of thing. Like, we don't need to do benchmarking per se. Other people have benchmarked this thing. I'm not going to do a full teardown because other people have torn this down. Although I am going to open it, although I am going to try and, you know, I'm going to take it apart just so I can be like, okay, well, that's how it comes apart. This is what to expect from a Steam machine. So, and we've got the Steam controller here as well. In a way, I'm more interested in the controller because this controller could be extremely interesting. But yeah. So play a mildly demanding game. That is the plan. I'm going to play. I'm basically going to set this up and play some games on it this stream, and just so we can use that as a launching off point to talk about the strengths and weaknesses. That's pretty much the plan. So yeah, that's it. So yes, it's fine for what it is. Just overpriced thanks to the current market. I guess so, but yeah, I think. Yeah, obviously, like, value for money, we all know that the value for money isn't there. But if you take that out of the equation, does it achieve its goals? What are its goals, you know? I think, so, friend of the channel who has loaned this to me, when they brought it in and we briefly talked about it and stuff, you know, I said, like, sort of, oh, you know, well, you know, obviously, we both know that it's kind of expensive, etc., etc. And they were like, yeah, it is. It is too expensive. I knew that when I bought it. However, they had bought it under the exact scenario that I had envisioned in my brain, which was someone who bought this because they wanted to buy into the vision, so to speak. Because Valve had a vision for this as like this kooky boutique piece of hardware kind of thing. Like this oddball thing that specific people would like and want to buy just because it's Valve kind of thing. And that is kind of what I want to explore. The person who's buying it just because it's Valve and Valve make great products kind of thing. What does that mean, and what do you get for that? You know. So that's what I want to look at. That's what I want to look at. And also, yes, SteamOS, extremely interesting. I have briefly seen SteamOS, but this is going to be an opportunity. This thing hasn't been booted up yet. So we're going to see the first time setup, and we're going to set it up from scratch. So I guess we'll get started with it. So yes. Can it be fine if it's overpriced? Yeah, not really, but sometimes it depends on how much you care about that. Some people are willing to just blow a load of money on something that is not 100% good value for money just because it's something they want anyway, you know. So, yeah. Okay, right, let's take a look at these things. So let me switch to, if I go to Benchcam, I think I've set that up. Yeah, let's go to Benchcam. Let's do a very quick unboxing. I'm not going to spend too much time on the unboxing because unboxings are boring. So we'll put that there for a minute. So let's start with the Steam controller. I've already taken this out of the box to look at it because I was curious. I'm going to take this box out of this box so you can see the presentation. So here's the box for it, and you open it up and it's got this neat presentation thing. That's pretty cool. So we've got the Steam controller itself, and then there's the receiver/charging dock. Oh yeah, I was going to record. I'll make a separate video. I'll do a separate video for it. So yeah, we've got the receiver/charging dock thingamajig. That's quite lightweight. If you actually had that sitting on your desk, you would need to have the cable pinned down somewhere, because under the weight of the cable will just drag that off your desk. So I'm surprised I haven't made any attempt to weight that at all. So there's that. The controller itself, it's got Type-C on the back and the pogo pins on the bottom. Kind of cool. So my first impressions of this is I'm actually not a super fan of the profile of it in my hands, because let me just shuffle my seat over slightly. When I just hold it in my hands, we've got the paddles on the back, which are cool. But when I hold it in my hands, it feels like it's trying to fall through my hands. And if I relax my hands backwards, like onto the trackpads or the D-pad and face buttons, that's fine. Now I'm holding on to the sides. But if I actually want to reach the sticks comfortably, I kind of have to bring my hands up the sides, and now it feels like it's going to fall through. And this was kind of my first impression when I just took it out the box during the week and just held it. It was like, And like, if I compare that to an Xbox gamepad that I've got here, this one just straight away, these back lobes just go straight into your palms. And now maybe this is just biased because I'm just extremely familiar with the Xbox grip, but this doesn't have that same problem, not by a long shot. So this is a standard Xbox One controller. I have an Elite Series 2 at home, which I forgot to bring in, which is basically the same shape. It just has rubberized grips and paddles on the back. But even still, with the paddles on the back and the rubberized grip, it's this, but just better. So the actual shape of the controller, I'm not super sold on. But maybe if you were a PlayStation gamer and you were used to the two analog sticks being in the center as well, maybe you'd find it a bit more familiar. The other thing as well is that if I go for the 4-finger grip on the back, then that tends to make sense because your hands are just naturally on the sides then. So that's my initial impressions of the controller, but I'm going to play some games on this in a minute, so we'll see how that goes. Let's see. I'll take that out. Well, technically we don't need this because the Steam machine itself has the receiver built in. Although the problem is they talk about how the Steam machine has the controller receiver built into it, but okay, yeah. Well, yeah, no. They talk about how the Steam machine has the controller receiver built into it and how that's such a great thing, but you still need this to charge it. or you're going to have a cable to charge it. So as cute as that is, that's not a feature you're ever actually going to use. So make of that what you will. Dropped it. So the magnetic latch on that is really strong, which is kind of cool. Like you can see I keep dropping it because I'm having to pull it off. So, okay. This is a stream of consciousness here, by the way, if you hadn't noticed. Okay, we'll leave that in the box because theoretically we're not supposed to need it. Let's have a look at the machine itself. I'll go back to Facecam for this. Catching up on the chat. Looks huge. It is pretty big, but it also makes sense just because of having those trackpads on it. I will be testing those trackpads. I really want to know how those feel to use. Anyone who's used a Steam Deck before will probably already know what to expect. But while I've held a Steam Deck, I've never actually used one. So how does this open? Front bit, I think. Cool. Charge it first. I should hope it already has some charge in it. However, just in case, I'll leave it plugged in to... just in case, I'll leave it plugged in. So it's getting some charge. Okay. So there's the box. And in the bottom, we've got... In the bottom, we've got a Euro power plug, we've got a HDMI cable, and we've got a Britbong power plug. I'm going to leave all of those in the box just so I don't have to unravel them and ravel them back up again, because those are standard cables. And that's all she wrote. Everything is cardboard. There's no plastic here, which is nice. Oh, that way around. Oh, it's not quite square, and looks like there's a manual and some other. There's a manual in the top there, or like a quick start guide. Come on, cardboard, don't fight me. There we go. Bop. Oh, let's take off this sleeve. How does this come off? Like that. Whoa. Right, I'll put that down there. Right. Okay, right. It's pretty dense, but also that's not surprising. It's about the size of a mini PC, just tall. And it's much heavier because it feels like it's got a big old heatsink in it, which a mini PC would not have. So yeah, then on the back, also folks asking me, I didn't go to Brighton, I went to Cornwall, but yes, my holiday was very nice, thank you. I'm not gonna like go into details about my holiday right now while we're doing the thing though. So like, for people who are saying, how was your vacation? I'm talking at the moment, but I'll talk about it a bit more once we're waiting for something. Because once we get onto like loading screens and stuff like that, I'll have a bit more. We'll have a bit more waiting to do. Right, DisplayPort HDMI. I don't like how there's only 2 USB ports at the back and a Type-C, but then you get another 2 at the front. Although I guess, does anyone know what this Type-C port is capable of off the top of their heads? Like, is this like a USB 4 or something like that? Can you plug in what the throughput on that is? Because if that's like a 20 gigabit port, then you could just plug in a port expander on that, so that wouldn't be a big deal. So, cool. Finish of the plastic is nice. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It is a cube. I have not looked at how this guy comes apart, and I'm curious. I'm just going to sort of experimentally, yeah, that front bit comes off. Wow, okay. Yeah, there's the big old heatsink through there. Huge heatsink, which is cool. All right. I haven't decided how much, if at all, I'm going to take this apart yet. I think I'm going to get it I want to get this thing turned on and do some stuff on it first, and I'll consider taking it apart a bit later on. So yeah. Audible but sounding like you're in a bucket. Has the audio gone wrong again? Because we had some issues with the microphone earlier on, if anyone can confirm. Right, let's get this thing plugged in. Right, I need figure of 8 cable, which I should have here. Oh, I don't have one plugged in, typical. I'm going to swap one out. And I'm going to need HDMI as well. I've got a HDMI cable over yonder. And by yonder, I mean here. Okay. I wonder if the capture card is going to behave today. The capture card has been problematic as of late. So if it starts playing problems with me, we might have to swap it out. Yeah, audio is fine. Cool. Thanks, guys. All right. Okay. Plug that in. Plug that in. All right. Can I arrange this in such a way that it's visible on camera? I'm going to let out some more cable. You know, I was going to record this live stream so I could consider doing some editing on it later and save myself having to record a separate video. However, if anything, this is why I'm very tempted to make a habit of doing this kind of thing where I explore the product on the live stream. So when I actually go to record a video, I already know what I'm going to do. And so all of this faff can be dealt with in the live stream. All right. Huh, neat. I unplugged the controller and it went meh. The savings won't outweigh the extra editing. Yeah, this is true. Okay, so I'm going to push the button and see what comes up. It should go through to that monitor, which we should have capture on. Ah. All right. Pretty quiet. Can hear the fan, but it's a nice big fan on it, so it does a whoosh. According to the Steam website, it's USB 3.2 Gen 2. What speed is that? Because I do not even bother trying to keep up with the USB ratings these days. Okay, right. Can we get capture with face? Let's see. Face cam. There's that. And EVGA activate. Is that selected the right thing? Yeah. All right. Just check if something else has picked that up or something. Camlink, nope. That's on the correct thing. Okay, right. I think the capture card is going to play silly beggars with me. I can cheat though because the other capture card that we normally use for the camera is currently free, so I will simply plug it into there instead. Unplug you, plug you in there. Oh gosh, now I'm going to have to use the preview. Oh, that's fine, I can do that. Aha. Okay, right, there we go. We have capture. Let's lock those out. It's 20 gigs. Cool, nice. Oh, conflicting information. Fair enough, hard to tell so far. Okay, so that has started up and it's saying plug in keyboard and mouse or connect controller with receiver. I thought this thing had the receiver built in. I'll connect it anyway though. I need a Type-C cable. There's one. Plug that in there. And plug that in there. The cable in the box is probably a nice silicon one. I'm using quite a beefy cable here. Okay, there we go. That's half decent. Okay, right. Controller. Aha, there we go. Velkommen. I'm going to get myself a pop-out preview because I can't see the top side of the screen. Open source projector, new window. Embiggen. Okay, there we go. All right, let's do it. Maybe need the cable for pairing. Yeah, because like part of me, direct connection or receiver needed for pairing, then after that it's not required. Fair enough. Yeah. I guess the advantage is that you don't lose a USB port for charging the controller. Yeah. All right. English. Let's see. Choose your time zone. GMT. And choose your network. Okay. Right, and I'm going to switch off capture for a sec while I bash in passwords. So turn that, let's go to there. I'm deliberately setting this up with the controller because I want to see what that experience is going to be like. Backspace X, okay. R2 enter. Connecting to Adamant IT Public. Connection successful. Cool. Okay. Go back to capture with face. All right. Continue. Updating, calculating time remaining. Okay, so let's see how long this takes to actually start using it. Right. So the best port is a 10 gig and the other's a 5 gig. And then some type A USB 2. Okay, hold on. So we've got 2 times 3.1 Gen 1, the type C. So the back ports are just USB 2. Well, for your keyboard and mouse, that's fine. So yeah, basically their logic is that you've got your keyboard and mouse plugged into the USB 2 ports at the back. Your front ones are for plugging in peripherals where you want high speed, like, you know, an external SSD or something like that. And then your Type-C port is going to be there as a breakout. However, the fact that the Type-C port is only 10 gig is a bit of a bummer. So yeah. Okay, so how was the vacation? Yes. All right. Yeah, vacation was nice. Yeah. Cornwall's a nice part of the country. Very isolated down there, but yeah, it was a nice part of the country. It was relaxing. However, just immediately I've come back and have become just as busy as I was before I left and just as stressed. So, you know, that's cool. On the plus side, though, because the last video on YouTube, as in the weird Rottler PC, was a breakout video, that has suddenly spurred my interest in getting YouTube content on the way. Are we coming back on? Oh, there it goes. Yep, all right. What controller are we using? We're using the Steam controller. I've got an Xbox controller here as well, but we do have a Steam controller. And that, as far as I'm concerned, is part of the experience. So yeah. Hate the price, love the form factor, still considering it. Yeah, I have zero interest in buying one of these, but I'm very interested in its existence, I guess. So yeah. All right, so, oh, turn controller back on. Okay, select pair. It's now directly paired. You no longer need to use the puck for a wireless connection, but you can still use it for charging. Okay, so let's unplug that then. Next. Updating Steam Machine, internal Steam controller adapter firmware. I see. Okay. I guess it goes without saying that since release they've done a couple of, like, you know, week 1 patches and stuff. You can fix the stress with another holiday. Exactly. I'm going on holiday again in like 2 weeks, so that'll be fun. All right, adjust the frame. Where is my projector? There we go. Don't seem to be able to... Do I select that and then... There we go. Okay, you select it and then change it. Okay, well that's the correct thing. Cool, all right. Select your audio configuration. Let's just say, we don't have any audio output from this at the moment, so we'll just say that. You can change this later. Cool, next. All right, sign into Steam. Maybe I'll do that. Okay, right. Right, I'm going to quickly come off of that again while I sign in. Where's my phone? Ugh. Steam Guard. Sign in. Okay, integrated Steam controller adapter detected. Capture. Welcome to Steam Machine. Before you start playing, here's a couple of useful tips. Press any button, okay? Press Shift-Tab to access your Steam library. Press and hold to view system shortcuts. Okay. Press Control-Shift-Tab to quickly view your notifications. Okay. Press any button to continue. Last of all, Steam Machine is equipped with a micro SD card slot. Expand your storage capacity by inserting a thing. Okay, fair enough. Set up parental controls. Okay. Press space to learn how to press any button. Okay. Like, I'm not judging it for this, but like, it's giving me keyboard shortcuts on a device that doesn't have a keyboard connected to it and is supposed to be like a controller experience. So like, straight away, it's just like, what? Okay, that's fine. This is not stopping me from using it, but things like that really bother me because how has no one spotted that before? But yeah, I feel like buying this and then running games off of micro SD is sad. Yeah, that also bothers me a little bit. But like, imagine using an SD card for game storage on this. Although, like, if this brings us into the problem is that if you're doing that with like indie games, then that's kind of a non-issue. But yeah, Steam controller detected. Here are a couple of important things about your Steam controller. Okay. Steam controller updates. If you have other stuff, plug the pucks into your thing. Okay. It's ready. Okay. Cool. All right. Welcome to Big Picture, everyone. Okay. Right. So I want to play a game. Let's start by, I got to get something installed on this. So to put this controller through its paces and get an impressions of that, I'm just going to quickly download, I'm going to download Dead Cells. View more in your library. Okay. Can we search? Sort by, filter. Let's try filter. All games? No. Okay, I guess I'll actually, can we use the pads? Not really, no. Okay. Can we, oh, that's next thing, previous thing. I want a quick way of just scrolling through my games. Okay, I guess I'll just, oh, there we go. If you hold it down, you get things. I want D, so I think by the time I found, there it is, Dead Cells, found it. Okay, cool. Install. It's 2 gigs. Okay, fine. You can play this game remotely without installing. I don't want to do that. I want to install it. Starting download. Okay. Download failed. I see. Resume. Download queued. Okay. On this machine. Okay, yeah. Download queued. Okay, can we view downloads? Menu. Other menu. Steam button. Library. Downloads. Okay. No internet connection. Are you sure? Cool. Okay, yeah, it's doing it. Where the spicy games at? Not this account. Imagine having spicy games on your Steam. All right. The setup screen said to connect a mouse and keyboard. It said that, well, it said it was alternating between mouse and keyboard and the controller. And like, I will admit that I don't know why you would have a Steam machine without a mouse and keyboard. So I guess I'm being kind of facetious here, but like the whole point of the Steam controller is that it's supposed to be a replacement for the mouse and keyboard. So I don't know, man. At the very least, the Steam machine knows that it doesn't have a keyboard right now. So, and yeah, so it knows that it doesn't have a mouse and keyboard, and it knows that it has a Steam controller. So it's strange that it's not just automatically showing that kind of thing. Benefit of the SD card is you can remove one from your Steam Deck and then just plug it into the Steam machine. That's an interesting thought, but yeah. Caradog's in Monaco this week. Yeah. Still not something that I would do per se, but yeah. Okay, right. Clear all, back. All right, can I play Dead Cells now? Play. I think we're downloading something. Steam Linux runtime 2. Soldier. Okay. I feel like if this was if I were evaluating this product, I would want it to, like, I've gone to downloads to find out what's going on because I'm familiar with Steam. But for me, I'm like, I would expect it to pop up with some kind of prompt saying we're getting prerequisites to run this game. All right. Can I play Dead Cells now? Yep, okay. It's doing it. We're launching a game. There we go. Also have a system update notification. Probably. I want to play games. All right. Right. I'm just going to say in advance, this is going to be an absolutely dreadful Dead Cells experience because I'm watching it through a capture card, which I had not considered when I was planning this stream. So I'm going to immediately make excuses for my likely performance here. Cool. Save slot. Sure. Play. Continue. No, let's have a normal mode. Quick current game. Yes. Cool. Will we try a AA, AAA game? Yes. I have pre-downloaded on another computer that I will bring in. I've pre-downloaded Palworld because Palworld is going to be I guess a AA game. However, the release version of Palworld 1.0 is really heavy, and I'm going to use that as a unrealistic test. I don't think this can run Palworld. Let's find out, basically. So yeah, it's just 3 seconds of lag, maybe. Oh, can I not play with D-pad? All right, fair enough. Right, wow, the refresh, because I'm watching this on a capture card, the refresh rate is pretty horrendous. All right. The bumpers are soft touch instead of tactile, which I'm not familiar with, but I'm also going to be really rusty, so I like that. Yeah. Okay, give me the assault shield, grenade, firebrands. Okay, that'll do. Right, bam, and Y. Cool. Okay, I can remember how to play this game. Cool. So right now I'm mostly interested in how the controller feels. Trying to remember the parry. Grenades. I think you just got to do it at the right time. Can anyone remember? Hang on a sec. What's parry? I need to remind myself. Controller? D-pad function, bound to impact, to rebind. Movement. Yes, that's what I want. Cool. Rebind controller buttons. Yeah, no, I'm not going mad. I just push X at the right time, I think. Yeah, cool. All right. Palworld will run at medium-low settings. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, we'll see how that goes then. Did you find out if SteamOS is available officially to download? I have not looked yet. Does anyone know the answer to that? Have we got the official download for SteamOS yet? My God, I want a single parry just to remind me that I'm remembering how to play this game properly. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. I should have picked up a different weapon, just like a sword or something, because at the moment we're mainly just the assault shield is a parry spam weapon. Huh. The actual buttons on the controller, though, they feel all right. Whoops, that was entirely... Oh, yeah, survival was correct for this build, so that's fine. Die. The rumble is sharp as well. Like the tactile rumble is supposed to be what this controller is also really good at, but that's going to depend on how the game uses it. My main issue at the moment is I'm used to an Elite controller that has a lot of tactile buttons on it, whereas these buttons are all soft touch, and that makes for a very mushy. Calling it mushy seems rude, but that's kind of what it feels like when you're used to tactile buttons. I don't want another grenade. So I don't know what to make of that at the moment. Catching up on chat. Whoop. Ooh, that was some gnarly slowdown. Although the problem is because I'm watching through the capture, it's hard to tell what slowdown is the console and what slowdown is the capture. I really should have set this up so I can see that. I think we're going to have to change it before I do the next game, just so I can tell when drops are the capture versus when the console is slow. Because this is a proof of concept. I'm now playing games, which is the objective, but like this is not, this setup is completely inconclusive in terms of actual testing. So yeah, make of that what you will. I'm mainly trying to feel out the controller at the moment. I'm getting used to it, although the other thing as well is that I'm using the D-pad and face buttons, not the analog sticks. Let me try using the analog stick and just seeing how that feels. Whoop. Let me in. Let me in. Yeah, again, like the left, maybe if I was used to a PlayStation controller, I wouldn't mind it so much. I'm not going to upgrade any of these weapons because I'm not enjoying them right now. Maybe if I was used to a PlayStation controller, I would not mind the left stick arrangement so much, but I feel like I'm really having to reach for the left stick. And like a lot of games, if you're like on a D-pad, the D-pad is fine, but the left stick just feels miles away, and just immediately I'm finding myself not wanting to use it. I don't know what I was thinking when I picked these weapons at the start. I like the assault shield, but it's a support weapon, not a main weapon. I need something else, anything else. It will also be better once there are some more enemies, so there's always something actually attacking me. There we go. So now I'm getting parries off. Ow. You can download official SteamOS from the webpage now. Okay, that's cool. Because, yeah, I want to try installing that at some point just to see what that experience looks like. I guess I'll heal. NVIDIA is not supported. Yeah, that's not surprising at all. That's just simply because NVIDIA, you're going to need to use the proprietary drivers, and that is complicated. Let's replace the Firebrands with that, and let's switch those around. I'm going to jump out of this in a second, start installing something else. There we go. Okay, I have a slightly faster weapon now. Better. They mentioned AMD-powered devices. Yes, because it's no secret that if you're running Linux, you're going to want to be on an AMD graphics card, and NVIDIA is certainly possible. It's just not ideal. So. Oh, we're cruising now. Beautiful. Officially official that NVIDIA's support for SteamOS is happening now, though, at least. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad that they're working on that, because, like, while it's easy to be like, oh, well, Linux users should just use AMD, it would still be, there's going to be a lot of people out there. I mean, obviously, most people statistically have NVIDIA graphics cards, so that's kind of what you want to support. Yeah, I'm getting used to this. I'm still on the D-pad. Like, for this game, I would 100%... Sorry, I'm still on the analog stick. For this game, you really should be using the D-pad anyway, just because of how fast you need to be able to change and move. In ideal situations, this game gets very hectic and very fast moving. I'm still going slowly at the moment, despite what it might look like. But I can get used to this. I want something that is going to use the rumble a bit more effectively, because this game doesn't do a lot of rumble. Cool. Okay. Interesting. Right, let's bail out of this. So, next thing I want to do is I want to try out the trackpads on it. So I'm going to install another game. So let's go back and let's install. Let's see. Can I have recents? Sort by last played. So let's play. Last played. Slay the Spire. Install. Okay, so Slay the Spire will be good because you can play this with a gamepad, but also you can play it with a mouse. You would play it with a mouse and keyboard. So it will be a good opportunity for me to try out these trackpads and see how those feel. And in the meantime, I'm going to quickly grab. I'm going to make a. Oh, that's an interesting thought. So I downloaded. Palworld on a Windows computer. So let's see if I can import that to the Steam machine. I'll do a Steam backup of that game onto a SSD super quick. So let me quickly do that while I'm talking. Okay, right, stand by everyone. Palworld, manage. Backup game files. Choose a directory to back up to. So let's back this up to Ugreen, new folder, Steam, select folder, create backup. Okay, Palworld game files are being compressed and saved. Cool. Right. Scotty says, I'm the same. Gotten used to the Xbox stick positioning. PlayStation Central one feels odd if you've gotten used to staggered. Actually, that reminds me, I've got some PlayStation controllers to hand. Right, let me grab one. That's the crap one. Where's a real one? Here's a real one. Okay, so while that's downloading, let me just quickly switch to bench cam with face. There we go. So again, comparing controllers. So we've got the Xbox controller that I know and love, which just immediately this feels nicer in the hand. Like even going for the D-pad down there, it feels like the D-pad you're having to technically reach for, but it feels close by. I don't feel like I have to reach for it. At the risk of getting calipers, I want to see if this is bias or if it really is just a long way to reach. So if I go from the base of my thumb to the D-pad, I'm just eyeballing this. That's about 45mm reach to the D-pad. And that's entirely comfortable. I would play high-speed games like that. Then this one, the Steam controller, obviously the D-pad is right there, no problem. And, oh God, yeah. It's just over 45, it's closer to 50mm. So it is further away, but also I'm having to just, the angle just, it feels further. It feels like I'm having to do that. It's binding up the left side of my arm kind of thing. Like, I know I sound pedantic here, but if you're trying to describe the very subjective feel of something, this is kind of how you do it. And then the PlayStation controller. Yeah, the Spider-Man controller, this is a customer one. It's in because it's got stick drift. Yeah, that's nowhere near as big a reach. I'm not familiar with the PlayStation controller at all, but that feels fine. And again, if we go for here, again, it's less, it's 45mm or so, about thereabouts. So yeah, the Steam controller, that left analog stick is just too far away. As soon as I pick this up, I feel my thumb having to reach to get to that analog stick. man, it gives me no pleasure to say this. I want to like this controller. I really want to like this controller, but no. I'm not into it. But you know, I guess you could get used to it. Maybe it's just the grip, but if I arch my hands up and just hold it down slightly like that, so I've got less to go, but that's not comfortable either. Yeah, I don't know. Everyone's hands are different. Yeah, this is true. Like other people are going to have bigger hands as well and are going to have less trouble with it. So that's also true. How's my... Yeah, okay. My my download is done. So let's try... go to capture. So let's fire up a bit of Slay the Spire. Play. Starting to launch. Cool. Okay, that will launch straight away. It looked like that weird sort of delay in launching the game for Dead Cells. I think that was just a first-time run thing where it was still acquiring stuff that it needed. Pure muscle memory, you'd get used to it, something new. I think I probably would, but yeah. Yeah. Is that the Cope talking, though? You know? Like, this controller isn't cheap. It's also worth noting. Single player. Okay. So, right. I want to use the things. Let's go back to main menu. Settings. I'm going to do clean capture. Right. Input. Steam input detected. Controller rebinding disabled. Use Steam controller settings instead. Okay, cool, fine. So if I push menu, that's profile. Okay, let's push the Steam button. No controller connected. Are you sure? Let's see. Controller settings. No controller connected. Okay. Steam menu. Yeah, okay. Settings. That's software updates. Controller. We have a Steam controller, yeah. Advanced settings. I see. Maybe we should install the system update that's available, just to make sure that we're doing fair testing here, because like this might be a bug that has been fixed. So, like this works, but what if I want to use the things? I want to customize the input. That's the point, right? And it kind of blows my mind that it's telling me that there's no controller connected when it's just like I'm on a Steam machine with a Steam controller. Why isn't it telling me that? You know, it's under disconnected controllers. Okay. Right, let's close Slay the Spire and install the system update for a sec. Just to give it a fair test. Steam. Settings. Oh yeah, system. Software updates. Apply. Your Steam needs to install a new firmware update. Take a few minutes. Okay, sure. Let's do that. Some games aren't 100% compatible. Slay the Spire 2 is a known game to be difficult with the settings. Okay, yeah, you know, if that's the case, that's 100% fair. Yeah, I was kind of hoping that it would just behave like the trackpads would just behave like a mouse, and it would just because this is the Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the default action, if it hasn't been optimized, then it should pretend to be an Xbox controller and a mouse kind of thing. I'm not sure why it would do anything else, but maybe I'm being unfair, and maybe I'm asking for too much of it, you know. and you can always check compatibility per game for the Steam Deck and SteamOS. This is true, but also, again, like, pretend I'm an average person. I've just spent £1,200 on this. I shouldn't have to check, if that makes sense. Like, again, I'm being deliberately unfair here, but the user this is just a bare, I've plugged it in and turned it on, and this is my user experience kind of thing. So, and like, there's going to be legitimate reasons for it, and I'm not saying that it's bad. And I understand if Slay the Spire 2 has got some compatibility issues, like, okay, that's fine. But it's a case of like, if your absolute normie friend said, hey, I got this Steam machine because I heard it was good, you know, what are you expecting their experience to look like, right? You know, the price of Linux gaming. Well, this isn't a Linux problem. This is a Steam controller problem, you know. But although, you know, again, it does work. It was giving like the controller options. It's just I deliberately wanted to see if I could use the mouse in Slay the Spire to select cards, basically. But what we'll do is, I think that test is a bust, and we'll go to we'll just jump onto Palworld, because Palworld, we could use the analog sticks for input, or at that point we could hopefully also use the trackpads and maybe gyro aim, maybe. So yeah. So let's see. Yeah, it's the game. Apparently the portables won't do it either. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's understandable. All right, that update wasn't too bad. Fair enough. Right, let me just see if my backup is done. It is. Okay, close, eject. Right. So, can I import this game from an external SSD? Once we've checked out Palworld, I'm going to plug in a keyboard and mouse, and we'll check out desktop mode, because, like, you know, that's definitely a thing you would want to do. Also, it's a green mark for Slay the Spire 2, so it should just work. Yeah, I mean, technically the game is working, because, you know, I could go in and I can just use the face buttons and D-pad. So it does work, you know. It's just, you know, again, this controller is expensive, and one of the gimmicks of it is those trackpads. So I want to use them, you know. And if using them is very dependent on the game supporting them, then that's a pretty big caveat, in my opinion. So yeah, really selfishly wish you'd try Elite Dangerous. Oh yeah, I have not opened Elite Dangerous for a decade, so I have. So yeah, not sure. How big is the download for Elite Dangerous? Right, let's see. Right, so Palworld. Can I manage? Can we install from properties? How could I install a game that I've got on an SSD right now? If I hit install, that will just start downloading it. So no, I don't want to do that. Let's open menu. Library, that's where we are. If anyone knows how to do this, let me know. Settings. Downloads. Storage. Let's see. How can we import a game? On desktop mode, you go to like one of the menus at the top, hit install, let it create the directories, and then stop the download and copy your own files to it. Big picture mode. Yeah, I'm trying to see if this is possible in big picture. Oh, that's controller. Yeah. It might be that you just can't do this from big picture mode, which is kind of fair. I'm just curious as to if this can be done. Options, repair library. Going to give up on this in a minute because I've no idea how we might do this. Scroll down more of the menu. Activate a product. In-game. Downloads. That's the bottom of that. Game transfer over local network. Yeah. It will probably pull it out from... oh, it won't unless I change it. This is currently connected to the public network, so it doesn't have access to the other computers on the network. Yeah, I'll probably tell you what I'll probably do. We're going to drop into desktop mode, and I'll do it from there. I would expect. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, let's drop into desktop mode. Oh, search for games. Oh, there we go. When I go to the top, it gives me a search. Cool, fair enough. Okay, right. So how do we get desktop mode then? I'm guessing that's under menu. Home. Pass. Try selecting the USB drive and then move the game to internal SSD. That's an interesting thought. Yeah, hold on a sec. Let me have a look at that. Storage. PSSD8. To use this drive with Steam Machine, it needs to be formatted. No. Yeah, no, that won't work. Desktop mode is on power setting. Power setting, really? Oh, I guess like as if you were going to turn it off. Yeah. Power. Nope, not there. Menu power to drop to desktop. Back out of settings. Okay. So which menu then? Like that's as high as we go. We're at the top now. Menu. Okay. So what, the burger menu? Like, you're asking me from menu, which menu? There's like 5 different menus. Do you mean the Steam menu? Because that takes us to here. Okay, yeah, Steam menu. Okay, yeah. Switch to desktop. Cool. Yeah, there we go. Switching to desktop. Right, so let's plug in a keyboard and mouse. And I think from desktop, we can use the same method that we would use as if we were just in Windows now. Okay. Library. Okay, so let's go. Wow, this is really small. I've got to remember how to do this. Game servers. Right, let's scroll to the top and let's go, sort by recent activity, Palworld. Properties. So I did a Steam backup, and I'm sure there's a menu in Steam to restore a game from backup. Oh, restore game backup. That's what I'm looking for. There we go. Right, browse. And removable devices. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. And I want Steam. Palworld. There we go. That's what I want. Okay. Restore backup. Nice. Install, accept, off it goes. Cool. Hello, Paige. How you doing? This is basically a one-to-one with Steam Deck. Yeah, it will be. However, I've never used a Steam Deck. I've held one in my hands, but I've never used it. Ah, an error occurred. Update suspended. I see. Okay, what's it doing now? Is it just going to download the game? Yeah, it is. I mean, that's not going to take that long. So we could just wait for that to download. Yeah, okay, we can just wait for that to download. And we can just have a look around to some other things. Steam needs to fix this. Game backup. I feel like game backup is an advanced feature, though. Because, like, let's think about what are we asking it to do, and what would be the correct way of doing this. I want to move games between devices without downloading them again. And so, and in the interest in trying to be favorable towards Steam, I used Steam Backup on Windows for this. Normally, if I were doing this, I would copy the game's program folder, as someone else in chat suggested earlier on. However, I used the official game Steam Backup method because I wanted to give it the maximum chance of success. However, I think the way they probably, like, because also, like, is this not what you would want to do with SD cards? I think their vision is that you would format the SD card and have it as a Steam library rather than a Steam backup. So yeah. Have you heard of the BC250 based Steam machine? I have not. What is the BC250 based Steam machine? So yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to judge it too hard. It's also hard to say because like this drive is NTFS formatted. So there, and it's got like a Windows download of the game. So there's kind of a lot of things working against it that might explain why that didn't work. It's the PS5 APU. Weird. You can buy it for 150 quid. Oh, yeah, I remember this. I've seen that. Is it any good? Like, is it, like, what actual power does it, like, is it performant comparable to a Steam machine? And the idea is that it gives you the same kind of horsepower, but it's cheap. The question is, like, like what I'm getting at here is, why would you go for that instead of a Steam machine? Does it give you the same thing, Performs like a PS5. Well, obviously, because it's a PS5 APU. But, like, does that end up being approximately the same horsepower? Because I believe it's about the same. I believe the PS5 and the Steam machine are fairly comparable, right? But yeah, it just ends up being cheaper, I assume. It's comparable, but ends up being cheaper. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds interesting. Although the problem is just like, if you're going to go to that much trouble, I feel like you could go to the same amount of trouble to build a second-hand gaming PC that would be an awful lot more powerful. So, like, and I feel like the only reason why you would bother doing this is if you really care about the form factor. It sounds cool, don't get me wrong. I think it's a cool idea. It just doesn't sound particularly worthwhile to me. Yeah. So, secondhand GPU will be more expensive alone. I mean, this is true. Like, if this dev board is £150, even if we assume that you're going to pay another £150 for power supply, case, etc., etc., everything else to go with it. Let's pretend that you end up paying £300 for the whole project. That's still that's still that's still pretty good. So yeah, a bit too hacky for your taste. Yeah, it sounds interesting if you can be bothered with it. Yeah, the extra VRAM is what's tempting people. Sounds kind of cool. Not something I'm particularly interested in myself because I just don't have a use for it. But yeah, it sounds like a really interesting use for that PS5 development board, though, because that's the thing about that PS5. That's the thing about that PS5 APU board is everyone saw it when it hit the market and was like, "Wow, that's kind of interesting, but what can you do with it?" And this sounds like a really interesting use case for it. So yeah, 8-core GPU, 6700-ish performance, 16 gigs of RAM, runs on 12 volt. Yeah, turning that into a Steam machine is kind of interesting. So yeah, rolling back a little bit, is it worthwhile doing a T480 USB-C Thunderbolt chip failure? I mean, I'm not a fan of the T480 personally. I mean, whether it's worthwhile or not depends on whether you can be bothered to do it, basically. So, yeah. It can run Windows as well. Interesting, yeah. Okay, right. Is there anything else we want to look around? I want to explore the desktop more, but I don't really know what I'm looking for. So here's a question: Can anyone confirm if this is the case? Is that with SteamOS now, when you're running it in desktop mode like we are now, if I install apps, like let's say that I download and install Blender on this now. I download and install Blender, so Blender is installed in desktop mode. Then I do a new system update comes out for this, and it does a big system update. Will Blender still be installed after that? Because I heard that on the beta version of it, anytime there is a major system update, that is going to clear any desktop apps you've got installed. Has anyone confirmed whether that is actually the case or not? Because we do know that it's an immutable OS. So you're not going to be doing any updates to the kernel or anything like that. The annoying thing is that I'm trying to think. There's not really any way of knowing for sure. If anything, my opportunity to do that was the moment I took it out the box and powered it on. I should have got it to the desktop without installing any updates. But yeah, how ridiculous. Why should that be? Because that's how the beta behaved. I know this because my friend was running the beta. So yeah, it should wipe non-Steam stuff. There you go. So yeah. So because this is the problem with SteamOS as a concept, is that this suggests that if you want to consider running SteamOS as your desktop operating system, you can basically never ever update it to a new major version without having to reinstall everything. Because with SteamOS is hailed as possibly being like, here is the version of Linux that you might actually consider running on your own gaming PC. But the reality is, it sounds like it's absolutely a terrible idea to do that. All right, we're nearly done just downloading Palworld. So yes, as per the comments earlier on, yes, I am very glad I have fiber to the premises now. You can always, yeah, obviously you could run a different Linux distro, but this thing is, a lot of people are going to be asking themselves, should I download SteamOS for my gaming PC? Is that the version of Linux that I can switch to on my gaming PC to have the most hassle-free gaming PC experience? But the problem is obviously, like, if you can't install any desktop apps without them being wiped every time there's a major update, no is the answer to that. Which means that because this thing, everyone is saying that SteamOS is really interesting and stuff, but if this is the case, then no, SteamOS is 100% not the future of the Linux gaming desktop. It's good for the desktop console experience, which is what it's designed for, make no mistake. But it means that, for example, no, I would not install SteamOS on my gaming PC at home, you know. So yes, fair enough then. Not a desktop OS, it's 100% just for gaming. Yeah, that settles that one then. Okay, right, let's give Palworld a spin. I'm going to reboot into normal mode for this, just for testing. So let's restart. So I'm guessing that it will restart to big picture mode under all. I guess it will always restart to big picture mode unless you have done unless you've done some kind of modification to tell it to automatically go to desktop. Right, so we've got a keyboard and mouse connected, but I'm going to want to use the controller. Sounds like people are expecting the OS to do more than its intended purpose. In a way, yes, because I think a lot of people were potentially excited for SteamOS because this would be a distribution of Linux that Valve had tamed for the average gamer kind of thing. That's certainly something that I was thinking might be the case. And in addition to that, you know, there are pundits out there that have said that the Steam machine makes for just an amazing portable desktop. And I need to go and watch that content to see if they've mentioned this at all. Because, you know, if they haven't mentioned this, then that's a massive like bit of like omission of detail. So yeah, right, Palworld, go, play Palworld. Let's see. I guess I'm just going to hit play Palworld. Ask me each time because I don't know. This game will use the recommended template layout. Okay, that's nice. It's automatically selected it. So so now again, I want to see if I can use those trackpads in lieu of the analog sticks, but we'll see what it does. External controller translation. Okay, sure. Yeah. Apparently Flatpak installed applications persist. Okay. That is tolerable because, you know, you can get a lot from Flatpak. So, yeah. Cool. Right. So, let's go to options, graphics. Let's see what it's. Okay, right. This is synced settings from my PC at home. So, let's go ahead and just tone that down a little bit. So I'm going to start on low. Right, let's start on low. Max FPS 120. Can we have an on-screen? Can we get stats? Let's go 120 for a sec. If I press this Steam button, can we have on-screen stats? In-game, that'll be, won't it? In-game. Screenshots, no. Does anyone know if it's possible to get a frame rate up from big picture? Right menu button. Okay, hold on. Right menu button. No, that's for in-game. Oh, hold on. Not yet. Let me balls. Okay, right menu button. Let's go back to settings again. Okay, what's the right menu button? Do you mean the hamburger menu? Because pressing that does nothing. Okay, right. Let me go through it again, see if I can find something. Display. Because again, in desktop, there's a thing for this. In-game overlay. Okay, yeah, hold on. In-game. Nothing there. On the controller, click the 3 dots. So by 3 dots, oh yeah, 3 dots is in the center. Okay, hold on. Aha! Oh yes, quick settings. You know, I hadn't even noticed that button there. Cool. Performance overlay level. Sure, let's have it all. Okay, cool. Right, let's back out of that. Oh man, that's really small in the corner. Okay, right, hold up. Okay, so the problem is that the monitor that I'm watching is like 2 meters away from me. I'm going to have to shuffle. Hold on. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to have to sit like off thing here. I've been trying to sit like center thing, but put that there. Okay, right, I can just about see that from here. The text is really small. So let's see if we can customize this a bit more. Let's push that again. Advanced view. Cool. Frame rate limits. Disable frame rate limits. Variable refresh rate. Enable HDR. Scaling mode. Fit. Show perf overlay in Steam. See what that looks like. That doesn't seem to change anything. Oh, this is for like the actual like game stuff. Okay. Can I make that look bigger? I don't think we can. No. Okay. I think that's as big as it's going to get, folks. What if I change it to a lower performance level? Maybe it will give us the same thing, but no, not really. Okay, let's leave that at maximum. One thing I really hate about this menu, so right now I'm on this menu, I'm using the D-pad to move up and down the menu. I go up to performance overlay, and if I do left and right, it doesn't do anything, it selects. So it's like, okay, select this option, I push A. Now I'm controlling this, but it hasn't changed. It hasn't shown that I'm now controlling that slider. So again, this is just, these are little UI issues that I'm just astonished are still here in a production product. It's not the end of the world, it's just the little things, you know. Okay. Switch HDR is extra crap. Yeah, let's turn that off. Although I think that's off in the game anyway. Okay, right. At any rate, that has been turned off. Right, options, graphics, low. Right, VSync off. I lost where I am. Graphics. Motion blur off. So TSR. Can we have FSR? Upscaling. Oh, does Palworld not support FSR? That surprises me. Apparently not. Okay, that's fine. We'll leave it on low for now. So let's leave that on. I'll just leave it on the low setting. Apply these settings. Okay, right. Start game. Right, I'm going to load into an old game. This game is from the. This save file is from the initial release of the game. So this is just some old base, but it allows us to just get in game. Okay, right. Wow, that looks really crunchy at that graphics settings. FSR is under the TSR option. No, I went through that and it didn't come up with anything. You're beta testing the Steam machine and everyone will be for a year at least. Yeah. This is what they say about Valve products, isn't it? You know. Right, okay. Let's see. Have I got... Here's a rideable PAL so we can actually go somewhere. Menu. Right, ride. Chill it, come back here. All right, big chill it. All right. Okay, so where's my FPS counter? Fan, VRAM, CPU, GPU. Oh, right, okay, GameScope, 60 FPS. Okay, so we're getting 60 FPS at the moment, I say, just murderizing some chickens. So that's fine. So let's dial the graphics up higher then. Cool, so options. Okay, right. Graphics, let's go up to medium. Apply. I should definitely, oh, okay, that was a big step. It's still saying 60 FPS, but yeah, no, that's fine. That's I could believe that that's 60. Because I'm watching through a capture, it's hard to feel it out. Right, I've got to remember the those are my PAL controls. I can't remember what sprint is. Right trigger. That's aim. Left trigger. That's another PAL control. Oh, there we go. It's left stick. All right. I definitely should have waited until it was daytime. There's not much we can do about that. Okay, well, that plays just fine, and we're up to medium. This game, it still looks kind of crunchy, but also there's a lot. I'm looking through a lot of upscaling to the monitor at the moment. So, but let's take it up higher. Save. Still saying 60. Yeah, that's not bad. Wow. Let me just bring up chat because I've got the game covering chat at the moment. It's slowly increasing in quality as we step up the graphics, but a lot of it just looks very chunky at the moment because we're rendering at 1080p and everything is getting upscaled, and you guys are looking through it after it's getting streamed. Oh, there we go. There was a little bit of frame droppage there. It's definitely dropping some frames, and it's not really showing that on the stats. Like, you can see that judder there, and there's a little bit of, you can see the frame time graph wobbling. There's a more difficult scene over there. Now it's visibly dropped some frames. So I think this is probably about the settings you want to play it. Options, one more time, let's just check. We're now on high, we're on TSR. That's my only option for anti-aliasing. It won't let me select FSR from there. And the upscaling option is just grayed out. So yeah, presumably it does not support the level of FSR that this game may be able. It is not finding any kind of upscaling support, basically, which kind of surprises me. What if we go to Epic then? So Epic 1080p. I'm going to turn off motion blur because motion blur is garbage. Save. Save. Give me my chat back. It's also worth noting that if we got into a more busy scene where there are multiple pals fighting and stuff, then that would obviously change things. I might just quickly fast travel somewhere else. Where was my base? Oh, there we go. That was a bit crunchy. What am I looking at there that's it's having problems with? Again, that frame droppage doesn't appear on the... Ribunny, what are you doing? What's your plan here? You're level 5 and you're attacking a level 46 boss Chillet. What's your plan? Bless its cotton socks, it's trying. Thanks for coming. All right. Again, the judder is very strange because I'm definitely feeling frame drops, but it doesn't necessarily report them. Exit by cop. Oh no. Terrible. But this is an entirely playable experience though. You know, it's playing it on like cranked settings now. It doesn't look that great because the resolution is low, but like the texture quality and the shadows are there. So this is fine. Can I have a map? I'm trying to remember what the map button is. Is it left one? There we go. There's the map. Okay, let's head back to my base. So I need to go northwestish. I need to go this way. I will quickly fast travel to another location. Let's lower shadows and stuff. I mean, I can do, but like at the moment, it's not wetting the bed. If I were wanting to play this game, I would find this an entirely acceptable performance level, considering the machine I'm on. Obviously, you know, like, obviously if you're on a high performance computer, you're aiming for 100 FPS or something. Oh yeah, if we come back to the base, there's obviously a lot more stuff going on over here. Uncap the frame rate? Yeah, sure. So that was on the side menu. Let's have a look at that. Frame rate limit. So let's disable frame rate limit. That looks like it's... Okay, there we go. Now and then it jumps a bit over 60. So yeah, okay, that is uncapped now. So it is still doing a genuine 60 FPS in a small base where there is a bunch of pals running around doing stuff. So now let's fast travel somewhere else. So map. Let's fast travel to somewhere where there will be a bunch of stuff. Let's go to... this is a fairly open space. And hey, there's a watchtower there that I haven't unlocked on this save. So let's go to there. Fast travel. Can it do a locks at 120? If I drop the acoustic levels, still really quiet. I can hear it ramping up and it's blowing warm air out the back, but it's really quiet. Quieter than a console. So yeah. Can it do a locked at 120? Yeah, well, now we've gone to a dead area. We're now getting about 80 FPS. So yeah, for argument's sake, let's lower the game graphics. So let's go options, graphics, presets. Let's drop it back to high. Apply. Wait for it to stabilize. Hasn't done a huge amount, but it's just kind of, it depends on where I'm looking as to what performance we get. Let's drop it even further. So let's go options, graphics. Let's go down to medium. Oh, restart is required to update some settings, so yeah. Okay, let's mount up again. What I'm going to do, there's a watchtower to the southwest, and that will give us a big aerial shot. So let's go southwest. Oh, good luck. Okay, I'm going to have to figure out how to get up there. Oh, there we go. That's 100 FPS, apparently. Got a flying mount. I've probably got one in here somewhere, yeah. Whoop. Let me get off of Chillet a sec. Come back, Chillet. Let's select. What have I got? Broncherry, Ragnarhawk. There we go. Yeah, Ragnarhawk's a flying mount. Ah. There's also certainly going to be... yeah, let's just mount a flying mount. Oof, I'm not used to controls. There we go. Right. Usually there's some kind of jump that will get you up here, but this will do. Dismount. Okay, right, come back, Ragnarhawk, get out my way. Right, let's go for this. This will give us a big sweeping view. Okay, so obviously level of detail here is helping it out. It's not rendering all of that at full level of detail, but it's holding 100 frames to do that big panning shot. Area map unlocked. Let's see if I can remember. I think it's just jump again for... Oh, actually, do I even have a glider? The glider was not in the game when I did this save. I nearly jumped off there and tried to use a glider that I don't have. That would have been very funny. I will mount the flying pal again. GPU is not flat out. Yeah, where's the... Oh yeah, about 60%. Yeah, it's looking for 120 FPS now. Again, level of detail is in its favor here. Let's come back down to a low area. Let's go down to where that water is. However, yeah, like, it's pretty good, man. Oops. Let's see. Let's get Chillet back out because Chillet's a good runner. Wah. Okay, yeah. So if you wanted 100 FPS, there's your 100 FPS. Let's crank the graphics again, just for argument's sake. So options, graphics, epic, except for motion blur. For a 100% fair test, we'd have to restart the game. But yeah, see that it's telling me I'm getting 80 FPS. That ain't 80 FPS, man. I'm going to restart the game. Return to title. I'm going to restart the game and see what it does because, like, yeah, that was telling me I was getting 80 FPS then, and I'm like, no, mate, that ain't 80 FPS. So quit. Try again with Denuvo. I don't know. I don't know any examples off the top of my head for that. However, in terms of just general performance, again, it is worth noting that we're playing at 1080p, and you know, Valve were like, it's a 4K console, and like obviously, if we up the resolution, it's gonna fall apart. However, like this thing is spec'd for 1080p, so that's how I'm gonna run it, to be honest. We tried lossless scaling from Steam. Is that a feature that we can select? Okay, right, so it's a little bit less choppy than it was. I still don't believe that that is 80 FPS. There's no planet where that is 80 FPS. So there's something weird about how the FPS is being reported, I think. It's an app, yeah. Not super interested in that right now. But, you know, if you were running one of these, that's something you could choose. All in all, though, like, this is still pretty decent. Where's our VRAM usage? Okay, VRAM usage is at 5.6 gigs. So that's not too bad. These aren't the most detailed textures in the world. This game is a toon style game. So, you know, I'm sure there's a world where could be something more intensive. Man, you know, I kind of wish I brought in my I was about to say my VR headset so we could play Half-Life Alyx, but that requires me to get VR working on this, which is probably doable. Yo, who the heck is that? Lysandra Lux. Look at this boy. He's large. All right. Would Big Picture allow 2 games to run at the same time? I don't think so, but you could suspend a game, I would say. But yeah. If the GPU can't cope with the target res of 1080p at 120, then it will drop the internal res down. Yeah. Again, though, I'm not a big believer in upscaling as such. Certainly when you're trying, I don't think upscaling is useful at this level of performance. See, again, that stutter. Well, no, it's reporting that we're down to 55 now. So, yeah, it's a little bit intermittent. You could tone this down, though. If you ran this at, like, high settings, you would probably get a comfortable 60 FPS. So, yeah. I didn't know TSR did upscaling. I thought TSR was just the anti-aliasing. Citation needed. But yeah, okay. Well, that's Palworld, folks, and that's way better than I expected it to be. Way better than I expected it to be. So that's pretty good. Okay, right. Let's return to title. TSR is the Unreal Engine's own upscaler. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Max settings. Yeah, I think calling that max settings when we're at 1080p is a bit generous. However, I certainly didn't have to tone it down to minimum graphics, though, because the first time I ran it, I set it down to low graphics and everything looked extremely crunchy. But we were certainly able to bring it up to, like, as the game is intended to look. We were not playing on potato settings. So yeah, I think that's pretty decent. Okay, well, that's pretty good. Right, what else then, folks? What else? Shall we run some more games, or shall we look at some other aspect of this? I really want to do something with these trackpads. Anyone know what I can run that will allow me to try out the touchpads? Denuvo crippled game. Any examples of that? I don't play AAA games, so I don't know what is running Denuvo. I don't have Total War, I'm afraid. Oh, I moved it and we lost signal. There we go. Okay, it's back. Cyberpunk. Not really a useful game. We're not aiming for performance here. Had MechWarrior. Possibly. Cities. No, I don't have it. Let me go to my library. Recent games. Let me bring up my full view. Back. Library. Okay, all games. Sort by alphabetical. Okay, what would be? Oh my god! The problem is I've got so much in my library that I don't know where to start for an interesting test of this. But like I said, I want to try something that will test out. I want to try something where I can test out these trackpads. Age of Empires might be good for trackpad. Yeah, there's an idea actually. Yeah, let's try Age of Empires. Age of Empires. Let me just make sure that I pick the right one. Definitive. Okay, game info. Anonymous frame rate. Sure. Game info. There we go. Right. Playable. Details. This game sometimes shows mouse, keyboard, or non-Steam controller icons. Fine. Entering some text requires manually invoking the on-screen keyboard. Okay, that's fine. All right. Yeah. Okay, let's do it then. So, stream. I don't want to do that. Install. Space required. Okay, that's going to be a minute or two to download. Install. Accept. And Steam menu. Downloads. I'm starting to like learn my way around these menus now so I can find what I'm looking for. Portal. Yes. Yeah. We could play some Portal as well. That would be a good test for a first person. Yeah, do you think Portal will support the trackpads? I guess we could try that just as a... I mean, that's just going to be a dual analog feel. I'll see what Age of Empires does. Because Age of Empires will be a really good test for the gamepad, because that's a game that is intended to be played with a mouse and keyboard. And then, yeah. I think at some point, I think we might test this game, and then I'm going to, and then we might shut it down and just have a look at the box and just have another look at the hardware for upgrade options and stuff like that. As it is, so far, it's kind of like sort of ho-hum. Yeah, it's about what I'd expect. It's a little gaming computer. For lossless scaling, yeah, there's not a doubt in my mind that lossless scaling works well. I've heard lots of good things about it. So yeah, like if you were strapped for performance, then sure. I feel like it's, yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about it is the issue. That's why I'm kind of being evasive about it. Because the problem is just at the moment I run NVIDIA at home, so I just DLSS anything that I need to upscale. And the problem is that at the moment, I still prefer to just not scale at all if I can help it and just run at the resolution that the device is capable of. However, yeah, Palworld, that was unexpectedly good, I would say. Yeah, apparently the RAM upgrade is a pain in the backside. I had heard stories that it was difficult to work with, but I have not watched any of the videos, so I'll be going in blind. Yeah, 69-step process to get to it. Yeah, but then did Valve ever claim that this thing was supposed to be user upgradable? You know, because I don't think they ever claimed that. And if they've never sort of advertised it as such, then it's kind of, it's not a mega crime. Although between the you know, between the lack of upgrade ability and such, basically for me, the thing that I find myself asking is, did it need to be a tiny cube? You know, but we'll see. Aside from the front plate, yeah, and like the front plate being detachable is cute, I guess. You know. They want people to be invested in this thing as something that you customize and personalize. So I think that's fair. Dual channel doesn't have much of an effect. It wouldn't on this device, no. On most, on a typical, on a mini PC with integrated graphics, dual channel RAM would be absolutely everything. However, because this thing does have a dedicated GPU, the dual channel memory is not really the end of the world. It's a bit embarrassing not to have it, but it's not a deal breaker. Not in the same way that it was for a mini PC like the Geekon that I looked at. So yeah. Form factor is part of the appeal. I suppose, yeah. It is cute, I'll give it that. Right, how are we doing on this download? 5 minutes remaining-ish. Okay. Right. If it wasn't for the full small form factor, there would just be no reason to buy it over any other pre-built and just adding SteamOS or Arch. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think you're right. I think part of my concern is that apparently this thing is super power limited. But that much being said, though, like everyone, apparently it's super power limited, but that doesn't seem to be a thermal issue. So be great for a LAN party PC. I could see that being the case. Yeah, I would agree with that. Because like the last LAN party I went to, I brought my small form factor rig with me because like I'm 100% on board with having a LAN box now, and yeah, I think this thing would be powerful enough for that. I don't mind having a diminished performance experience when going to a LAN party. But the advantage of my LAN box is it's still a custom built PC. Whereas obviously this is fixed hardware. So like, in a way, I'm like, riddle me this. Why wouldn't you just buy a gaming laptop? Because it costs the same as a gaming laptop. Although those are probably going up in price now. But actually, good question. How much can I get a gaming laptop for? Hold up. Let's go to Amazon. Let's see. Browser with chat. Edge chat. Chrome. Okay, right, let's see. New tab. Keyboard. Amazon. Gaming laptop. RTX 5050, 4050. Let's see. 5070 Ti, 1530, 5060. There we go. So there's an RTX 5060 and an i7 RTX 5060, 16 gigs of RAM, £900. That's gotta be a similar kind of performance, right? Yeah. So obviously, like if this was a desktop 5060, then it would be no contest. A laptop 5060 is not going to be quite as fast, but that's got to be at least the same kind of performance as the Steam Machine, and it's a full-blown laptop, so you've got the built-in keyboard and mouse and monitor, and it's 900 quid. So now, again, obviously we know that the Steam Machine got ruined by price increases and stuff like that, and I think the only reason why this laptop is still 900 quid is probably because it's stock that's been hanging around. So it just simply hasn't gone up in performance. It hasn't gone up in price yet, but it does. Even if this went up in price, let's pretend that this went up in price to £1,000, £1,100. That still puts it at the same kind of price category as the Steam Machine. Only now you have a complete system. And if the Steam Machine is non-upgradable, which it kind of isn't, you could put in different memory, you could put in a different SSD, but you could also do that with this gaming laptop, and it's probably easier to do that on this gaming laptop. So it feels like we've inherited all of the disadvantages of a gaming laptop with none of the advantages. Laptop doesn't have a fan in it, but that's basically the size of itself. That's very true. The laptop will be louder. And also, I agree, I don't like gaming laptops either. So I am playing devil's advocate here. Hassle of keeping it in a good state, yeah. But you know, the point still, I feel like the point stands. Our download is complete. So, ho-hum. All right, let me put that to one side. Cool, play the game. All right, aha. This game will use these. Okay, I really like how this is doing. Like this is cool. It's as I launch the game, it's saying this is how you should interact with this game. You should use the right thing and right trigger for clicking. I do agree that the actual like loudness of this bit thing is extremely impressive. Fan noise doesn't bother me that much. I mean, if you're wearing a gaming headset, you're probably not going to notice it. So yeah, that's fair. Right. To open the on-screen keyboard, push Steam X. Okay. I'm going to resize my preview a little bit so I can still see chat. Okay, right. You don't have the thing installed. Yeah, that's fine. Right. Ooh. Oh, it coasts. Interesting. So anyone who's used a Steam Deck before probably knows roughly what to expect from this, but I have not used a Steam Deck. So, right. Give me. Let's just do a skirmish. And we're just going to do a 1v1 tiny. Give me a give me an Amazon tunnel, and we're going to play on. Let's play on easiest, just so I don't have to think. And I'm going to select my Civ just so I don't get a Civ that I have no idea how to play. Where's my main? Where's my bay? Malian. Malay? Am I blind? Where's Malian? Oh, they're up the top because I've got them favorited. I'm a genius. All right, start game. Next, Cyberpunk 2077. I need to check if I actually own. Actually, let's find out. If I push Steam and I click on library, we go back to the library. Do I actually own Cyberpunk? No, somehow I still don't actually own Cyberpunk. However, other people, for anyone who's just like, oh, play this game, other people will have performance benchmarked this already. So yeah, I know you're only joking, but still, valid question though. I prefer some fan noise. I'm not sure why. Okay, and we're back in game. Right, so the coasting is a little bit weird. Oh, the coasting is very weird. You can probably customize this. Oh, okay. Right, this would take some getting used to. Also, obviously, I can't shortcut keys on this. But I wonder if I could dial in some shortcuts. Like I could use. So the way that shortcut keys work in Age of Empires is on my. So let's select my villages a sec. If I go to. So the hotkey for buildings, the hotkey is Q because it's in the top left. Military buildings is W, which is next to Q. And then repair is E. So you can see that the icons are, the shortcuts are in the same arrangement as the icons. And if I go to build, house is Q, then mill is W, then mining camp is E, and so on. So that's how the hotkeys work in this. I could see a world where you could use the D-pad for like the top row or something like that. So maybe you could make a custom setup for this. So right click. So is right click left trigger? It is, yeah, okay. Right click. Okay, right, can I adjust the sensitivity? Let's pause that a sec and press that one. Quick settings, Steam controller. Can I? Not really. Okay, I think we want actual Steam settings. Oh, look, it's got actual things. Let's have a look at this. So, jump to units. We've got an idle villager key. So yeah, someone's already done a preset for this. Yeah, attack move. Then we've got, yeah, control groups. Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, you could customize this. Controller settings. Steam input. No, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm not going to edit this layout. Right trackpad sensitivity as mouse, as joystick. Yeah, I want it to be as a mouse, and then smoothing, acceleration is off. Oh, trackball mode. There we go. Let's turn off trackball mode. Haptics and stuff. Yeah, look at all these options. This is great. This is cool. Okay, so I've turned off trackball mode. So let's see how it feels now. Yeah, now it's not on trackball mode. I've got to do potentially a bit more scrubbing, but I feel like I've got more control now. So if I select you and just start, I'd need to know what's my shift control. Hang on a sec. Let's menu again, back. Okay, view layout. There we go. Right, what would be my shift? Shift key would be the left menu. Okay, cool. Let's come out of that. So I can do shift click, and now I can set waypoints. There we go. Yeah, that's I'm not going to be playing this on a high difficulty level anytime soon, but like if you were playing casually, or you know, if you were just playing for fun, that's playable. And like you could customize this to work. The haptics feel really cool. I can't explain how it feels. What would also be cool is if the left trackpad would do the camera. If you could set up the left trackpad to behave as a camera. Oh, well, the left stick does that already. And then right stick. Yeah, left stick behaves as a camera, right stick moves the mouse around. But the trackpad is nicer to use to that extent. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. So yeah, there we go. We're playing Age of Empires with a controller on a Steam machine. That's fine. It goes without saying that the performance is adequate. So yeah, I'm not going to say this is a good experience, but that's what you can expect from it. I don't think I would play this game with a controller for obvious reasons, but that's not a failing of the hardware. That's just because certainly if you're playing at any kind of competent Age of Empires level, this speed and control would be completely unacceptable. My APM is no at the moment, so yeah. But still, Steam machine question. It's fine playing games, but can you do any kind of a productivity on it? I mean, yeah, 100% you can. As you know, for general work and productivity, it will be great. The issue is that question of desktop mode and the apps not being preserved between major software updates. I would need to sit down and do research to find out exactly what the behavior for that is like. Because the short answer is I don't know. But because if all of your apps get nuked, when there is a major system update, you know, anything that's not from Flatpak at least, then that would be a deal breaker for desktop mode straight off the bat. And that seems to be a bit up in the air. So yeah. Steam Machine APU destroys a mobile RTX 5060 GPU, 159 compared to 69. Really interesting. Hear me out. You can do documents on the cloud without worrying about an update wiping your stuff. Yep, 100%. But then the problem is that if you're working entirely in browser, then you could just be using, if you're working entirely in browser, then you could be using a £300 mini PC. Well, not necessarily, I guess, but still. Dunno. Like the people that I've seen saying that this thing makes for a really good productivity computer, Linus of Linus Tech Tips has been loving the Steam Machine as a portable mini PC. But the problem is, I think he just likes SteamOS, and he likes the idea of a mini PC that he can put in his backpack, running Linux. I don't think it being a Steam machine or running SteamOS is actually anything to do with that. So I think that's my beef there. And so, like, absolutely, you could do lots of things on this, but none of that has anything to do with it actually being a Steam machine. That's kind of my problem there. Do I have a Discord server? Yes. Link is in the description down below. Do I ever play games with my followers? Not really, no. I do stream on Twitch, but I don't play games with community members. No one's buying the Steam machine for productivity. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I also am not buying, like, I kind of like the idea of the desktop functionality of the Steam machine, but from what I'm seeing here, mainly with the issue of non-Flatpak apps getting wiped between versions, I can't see that as being a viable use case for it. Or failing that, again, I don't know why you wouldn't run just a full-blown Linux system to have the best of both worlds, which is what people were saying earlier on when we were looking at desktop mode. Okay. All right, so that's what the trackpads feel to use. That's kind of neat. Let's quit this. Quit. Trackpad is not bad. It's 100% usable. The only downside with it is that you can't play Battlefield 6 on it. That's fine with me. Okay. All right. Right, should we have a look at the hardware? Because short of just firing up random games, I'm not sure what else there is to learn from just running games on it. It does exactly what we'd expect it to do, to be honest. Now, do you own Portal? I do own Portal. Is there any particular reason why you want to see it run Portal? I mean, we can do, but P Portal. I'll argue a 5060 laptop's a better buy because of DLSS. I mean, if the performance gap is as big as suggested, then no. Because, like, you know, the suggestion there was that the Steam machine had a minimum of 2x the performance. And DLSS does not make up for a 2 times performance gap. So, yeah, 100% for mouse stuff. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Oh, Battlefield 6 is anti-cheat. Yeah, I don't play AAA games, so I don't know. If you want to play games that have anti-cheat and stuff that don't run on SteamOS, then in a surprise to no one, then no, it's not going to work. Like, yeah, I know like, if a game has anti-cheat that is not compatible with Linux, then no, that won't work. That's kind of a surprise to no one, to be honest. So yeah. Aperture Desktop is a showcase for the Steam controls. Okay, so you were saying Aperture Desktop earlier on, but when people just say Aperture Desktop, when people, if you want me to try something, you need to say, do this, because then I understand why you're saying, like earlier on you said Aperture Desktop, but I didn't understand why you were saying that. Whereas now you've just said Aperture Desktop is a showcase for Steam controls. Now I have context for that, and now I get it. Okay. It is a game that is a showcase for the Steam controls. Now, okay, let's have a look at that then. That's downloading. So, what do we want? We want store. Search. Aperture. B was not backspace is X. I'm not used to using on-screen keyboards. That's not how you spell aperture. Aperture. Okay, hold on. Aperture. Oh my god. No, I was doing it right. You can tell I don't use these very often. Oh my god. Okay, fine. Let's just see if it finds it. No results. Screaming. Oh, you misspelled it too, yeah. See, I saw that A and it didn't look right to me. Aperture. How do you spell aperture? Aperture. Yeah, let's search for desk job. My spelling is awful, which is also a secret to no one. Desk job. Okay. Search. Aperture desk job. There we go. Did it. Add to your wish list. Play. Free to play. Install. Okay, there we go. See, this is going great. Silence. Show me my downloads. Okay. Okay, cool. This sounds like it'll be a good test because it allows us to play with the controls. And what is the timer up to? 2:19. Okay, that's cool. We'll have a quick look at this and then I'll shut it down and we'll just take the covers off and have a poke at it because I think I would be remiss if I didn't have a quick nosy on the inside. So how does that look like it's going to work? There's 2 screws on the back and then I'm guessing there's the screws on the bottom and then it comes apart. Very well. I feel like my downloads are getting slower as this stream progresses, but we're getting there. Then you void the warranty. Surely not, just to take the covers off. Is that the heatsink inside? It is, yes. And it is massive, yeah. Which is clearly how they've kept it so quiet. And I think that's great. I think, in fact, to be honest, I think that's what justifies it being the cube shape. Because personally, for me, I generally feel like the Xbox Series S is kind of the peak shape for a console. Because it gives you enough space to have a big circuit board, but still be compact. Whereas the cube shape here, they've had to make the motherboard very small, but it's given them space to put a whacking great heatsink and a huge fan on it. So that works out really nicely. Okay, cool. Let's clear those. Sort by date added to library. Cool. Play. This game will use the official layout. Steam. This game has native support for Steam input. Okay. system uses the system Steam uses to translate your physical inputs. Okay. Fine. Right. These games will often contain action sets, different control schemes that are used during different parts of the game. Okay. But only if you choose to. The default layout provided by the game's developer will just work. Okay. I'm going to just assume that the game will tell me what to do because I'm not going to remember this. Okay, this game has been optimized for play on the Steam Deck. Yes, I totally have a Steam Deck. There's one thing I have not been checking. Okay, good. I had not been checking if there was any audio coming from this. Right, we've got no audio, so can we just make sure that we've got subtitles? Yes. There we go. Sure. Cool. Start. Welcome to the Aperture Science Competence Center for our most gifted employees. I'm Cave Johnson. Okay. This would be a lot funnier if we could hear Cave Johnson. Let's get started. Okay. We're not going to do this game justice because we've got no audio and I'm not paying attention. So, like, I encourage people to I encourage people to look at this when we're not just testing stuff. However, Valve's showcase games like this are really good. Like, if you have a VR headset, you really should download Labs. Do they actually have combustible lemons in this? That would be very funny. Okay. Right, here's your lab. Don't mind telling you we're excited here. Moon landing excited. Okay, cool. Right. I'm not going to... If I was streaming this, I would voice this. However, we need to get to the game. My name's Grady. I'm going to hear this in Grady from Practical Engineering's voice. Okay, we're going to be inspecting things. Technically, you are streaming this. This is true. All right, we've got some face buttons. Cool. Okay, I've got a D-pad. L3 and R3. Right, what's L3 and R3? Is that... oh yeah, those are the sticks. Yeah, okay. And then we've got trackpads. Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, man, those buttons keep appearing, huh? Cool. Testing and calibration. Oh, okay, right. X. Okay, we filled the cistern. Y. We've made sure that you can sit on the toilet. B. The toilet can flush. Oh, sorry, the bidet works and the toilet flushes. Excellent. All right. So I'm guessing this is going to escalate into hilarious button configs we have to do in order to test things. Did it. Okay, the toilets are working. Oh, I pressed X too early. All right, fine. Anyone who has experience with this game, how long does it take to ramp up? Just so we know what to expect. Oh, it looks like it might be getting faster anyway. I left the volume down. This would probably be funny if we actually had sound. Fantastic toilet testing skills. I have a lot of experience in testing toilets. Gets crazy pretty quick. Okay, good, good. Okay. This one might be faulty. Okay. Okay, testing the smoking toilet. Okay. Uh-oh. The bidet did not work. Let's try it again. Right. Yeah, nope. Be gone. Oh, someone is banging at the front door. Hold on. Oh, okay. Amazon delivery, folks. One moment. Ugh. It's always annoying when it turns out to be a delivery person because you want to be angry at someone for knocking at the door when you're clearly closed and not available. And then you're like, oh, it's a delivery guy. Okay, right. Actually want to talk to them. Okay, right. Can we get through to this so we can start using the more interesting things? Okay. Oh no. Right, I completely lost track of what happened. Everything looks like it's exploded. Okay, that's not working. Okay. Terrible things are occurring. This isn't a great showcase while trying to do directly on stream because what I need is like a free play mode rather than story mode. Because at the moment I'm just pressing face buttons. Okay, I think we're progressing. Okay, the counter has gone up by a lot. We've done a lot of toilet testing. Okay. L2. My God, the turret started out as toilets. Okay, so now we have turret control. Okay, that's cool. Very good, very good. Good. Okay, fair enough. It's now pointing away. Okay, very good. Turret mode. Explode. Okay, I'm conscious of the time here. Because it sounds like this is going to be like half an hour to actually get into this to get an experience of the controls. And like, wasn't planning on sitting here playing games kind of thing. And also because this is heavily narratively driven, I'm like, we can't hear what's going on. This is not a good showcase of the game. So I might give up on this in a sec. Get a feeling perhaps not really. Like so far, I haven't done anything that I can't do with an Xbox controller. So like, I'm sure it gets good, don't get me wrong. However, I think this would be a case of like, we'd need to play like actually like half an hour plus of this to actually get a good impression of it. Yeah. Okay, is it just about to... There's lots of controls now. Okay. So yeah, so now, okay, it's just gotten to the part where now we have these extra controls, and I've got like the rollerballs on the haptics. So that's cool and stuff. Everything you can see on it shoots something, I see. Okay, right, we've got half an hour left. I'm going to advance to looking at hardware. The Steam controller, I think I would need more time with this to really get a feel for it. Let's quit out of this, and I'm going to talk about the controller a bit more while we do other stuff. So if we power down, yeah, I'll just power down from here. Shut down. Yes. Okay. Right. Let's go back to Facecam for a sec. So yeah, the Steam Machine is basically what we expected it to be. Kind of no surprises there. It's exactly what it's a mini PC. It's a mini PC. So yeah, the Steam controller. Would I get used to that? I think I would get used to that, but even if I got used to this, the moment I pick up an Xbox controller, just immediately it feels better in the hands, man. But having the mouse functionality, there are times where I feel like that would be super handy. I think if you already owned a Steam Deck and you had familiarity with these controls, I think that would change a lot. So, yeah. Don't know. It's not changing my worlds. It's not changing my world. And like in a way, I don't think I expected it to, but this is why I wanted to try it. I'm probably going to I'm probably going to test drive this at home a bit more to see if I can get some more time with it though. Steam Cube cool, but waiting for Frame. Yeah, same. The Frame I would be extremely excited about. Right. Okay, let's have a look at the insides of this thing before we wrap up for today. Does it wake up from the controller? I believe so. I wake up the controller. Yes. I pushed a button and it's turning on. Now I have to wait for it to shut down again. Shouldn't take long though. Also, yes, hello Galvani. If you're doing well. CEC is something that people also like. It is true. I feel like it's a little bit overrated. For something like the Steam Machine, I feel like it's a tad overrated. I don't know how many people are actually going to plug one of these into a TV. That's the thing. It's people are making a big deal about the CEC section, and it's great that it's got it, but like I don't see that as a selling point personally. It's nice to have, but it's not something that makes me want to buy it, you know. Right. Let's go to there. Cool. Right. Okay, let's take a look at this thing. So we've got some T8s or T10s, I think that is, on the back, and then the bottom ones also look like T10s. So let's take the screws out of this and see how well it comes apart. Let's get one of those. Let's get one of those. And let's get one of those. I think people would buy these instead of a console in addition to your gaming rig to play with friends on the couch. Yeah, that would definitely be a use case. T8s. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't had a modern TV setup in a long time. For me, maybe I just haven't got enough experience with modern TVs because, you know, for all of the time period where I did own a TV, I just selected the source. I would pick up the TV remote and just select the source that I wanted. And I find I still don't quite understand why anyone has a problem with that. But also, I guess grandmas. I don't know, man. It's a fingerprint magnet. It very much is, yes. I will have to wipe this down before I give it back. I've put so many fingerprints on this thing. Right. Taking the feet off. Looks like it's going to slide out. Too many remotes. Yeah, that might be the issue. I'll agree with that. It does just slide out the back, right? Oh, there we go. Aha. Okay, back panel has come off. I'm deliberately trying to do this blind because... okay, right. Let's start going to the bench cam. Bench cam with face. All right. So there's our big old cooling fan. Got a couple of screws there, so I'm going to take those off. I think it's going to slide out now. Yeah, okay. There's the box. All right. God, that is a unit. Absolute unit. Couple of big heat pipes to get the heat up to the top of the heat sink. A lot of just residual warmth around the bottom sort of core. There's our SSD, so that's extremely easy to get to. 512 PCIe Gen 4 Kingston drive. So yeah, if you wanted to upgrade the storage, yeah, that's a doddle. However, yeah, for the people who are saying that it's really hard to get to the RAM, no kidding. How deep do I want to go is the question. All right, so folks who have already seen the teardown of this, should I get involved with trying to get down to the motherboard, or am I going to get into a world of hurt? Minuscule power supply, yeah. I'm guessing that's why it's so power limited. Because, yeah, there's not a lot to it once you slide it out of the box. Not really, not yours. Yeah. Trying to see what we would have to do. These flexes coming down the side concern me. We'd have to take off, that cover would come off to disconnect that flex. That cover disconnects that flex. And then... let's see, how would I approach that? There's a screw there. There's a screw there. Or do we take off the cooling system from the top? It's not apparently obvious. If I were fixing one of these, yeah, I think I would probably look up a disassembly on this in advance, because it's not obvious how to advance from this point. RAM is between the motherboard and the PSU. Yeah, apparently the RAM is a massive ball ache to get to, which makes me very disinclined to go any further, because I just don't think there's much to see. unless I want to go the whole way. So yeah. And I don't particularly want to, if I'm honest. I was just curious. I was curious as to what we would see if we just took the initial covers off. Got to remove all the mini boards first. Yeah. Gross. Yeah. I feel slightly disappointed that there's not easier service there. I'd heard that it was difficult and that it was rough to get into. And getting this far, I'm just like, yeah, no kidding. That looks like a lot of work to meaningfully disassemble, which is a bit of a bummer. Yeah, no, I'm going to quit while I'm ahead there because it is not mine. So I'm not going to roll those dice. It is not mine, and it's a very expensive bit of kit. So I'm going to simply drop that back in there. I was hoping to get a little bit further than that. I thought we'd at least be able to get a look at the top of the motherboard or something like that. But yeah, that's a no from me. Yeah, it is good that the SSD is very easy to get to, though. Yes, that is accessible. And yes, the cooling block is definitely, the cooling system on it is fantastic. I think that's definitely the thing that I would say is great. The vertical USBs, not sure. They look pretty good, to be honest. They look, the anchoring on them looks pretty solid to me. Time will tell as to how robust they are. Whoop. Time will tell as to how robust those are, but they look fairly solid. And also, because these are on subboards, if these break, you would be able to buy replacement subboards for them. My understanding is that Valve had made a partnership with iFixit to supply spare parts. So I think that kind of thing would be fixable. I feel like they've sacrificed access to the motherboard in order to make commonly damaged parts more accessible, which seems like a reasonable compromise, I would say. But yeah, the inability to the difficulty in upgrading the RAM on it seems a bit rough, though, I think. So yeah. Whoop. One day when one enters the shop, I'll be able to dive in fully. Yeah. And until that time, I think I'm going to quit while I'm ahead with this thing. I'm going to put that back on. Okay. Right, so the question is, what content, if any, am I interested in making about this? I think I'm going to meditate on this over the weekend. I might write a short script and aim to do like a 20-minute video where I just simply collate my thoughts about this and just say, based on this stream, here's what I liked about it, here's what I didn't like about it. In a way, I'm almost feeling a little bit hollow. I think some part of me thought that when I had one in front of me and I sat down and tried it out and used it, I would use it and be like, wow, this user experience is really slick. I'm blown away by just how much finesse has gone into this product. And I think that would have, and I think I would have, I wanted to walk away from this thinking, you know what, it's expensive, but they've done a damn fine job of it, kind of thing. But I find myself sitting here thinking, yeah, it was what I expected it to be. It's a mini PC with a modest graphics card that is perfectly adequate, and the controller is, it's a better version of the Steam controller, where it feels a bit nicer to the touch, but it still has a slightly strange layout. But the haptic, the trackpads on it add an interesting twist that allow for interesting control schemes if you're into that. But it doesn't seem to do anything that I care about. And that feels a bit damning to say. Is it also an issue that you're spoiled for choice? Maybe, yeah. Yeah. Maybe this product isn't for me. Because, like, all of this in the Steam Deck, I'm just like, in the Steam Deck it makes sense because it's a handheld. I really want a Steam Deck, I just don't need one. All of this in the Steam Deck makes 100% sense because it's a handheld. But this is just a slightly scaled up Steam Deck that feels like it has none of the advantages of the Steam Deck. And yeah, obviously, like, as we know, the price doesn't make sense, but we all know that. Yeah. Because when I held my friend's Steam Deck, I held it in my hands. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, and it's a handheld, and it's a computer. But now that it's just a mini PC, it feels like it makes a lot less sense to me. It's for your living room to replace an Xbox. Yeah. I guess this now means that you can play indie games and AA games on your TV that would not otherwise be available on an Xbox. And for that, it would 100% succeed. If you don't mind the price. But yeah. I think this is just not for me because I'm not a couch gamer. However, I think anyone who has been suggesting that this is a great sort of mini PC desktop experience, I think I disagree. But yeah. Next podcast, install SteamOS on an all AMD PC with an Intel Wi-Fi card. Maybe. I will consider this. I think I'm going to wrap up for now because I don't have anything more to say on it. But yeah, I don't hate it. It's fine. It does exactly what it says on the tin. However, I think I just kind of hoped that trying one out for real would make me suddenly get it. I would try it out and it'd be like, you know what? Actually playing it and testing it, I get it. But no, this hasn't really changed any of my opinion on it. It's Steam Big Screen and a Steam controller, and it's fine. Thanks for tuning in, folks, I guess. Yeah. If you want to hear more of my dumb voice, I will be streaming tomorrow. I'm currently playing 9 Years of Shadows, which is a Metroidvania, Castlevania style game, and it's very pretty. And I think I'm going to take the Steam controller home so I can get more time holding this and seeing how that feels, because the Steam controller having magnetic sticks on it and the haptic trackpads and stuff, like, part of my brain wants to buy one of these, which is why I was paying so much attention to the controller, because this is a product that I kind of want to buy. But the black plastic feel of it, like the build quality is no different from a standard Xbox controller. And in a way, I actually prefer the tactile buttons on the Xbox controller. However, this having magnetic sticks, theoretically, the sticks should be really good. So I'm going to get more time with that to see how I feel. So yeah. Thoughts if you didn't already have a gaming PC and this was your only device? I would say it's pretty good, but also I would say for the same price you can buy a gaming PC that will absolutely decimate it. 1,200 quid still 1,200 quid even in today's market buys you a lot of PC. And this ain't that. And you could build a small form factor gaming PC for similar money that will annihilate this, and then just buy a Steam controller and put SteamOS on it. The hardware, like when you use a Mac, you use macOS and you're like, oh, it's macOS. And when you use a Mac with Windows on it, you're like, wow, this is really expensive. But when you use a MacBook with macOS, it all comes together. It becomes more than the sum of its parts. And you feel that trackpad and everything, and you're like, wow, I get it. This is really good. I get it. I haven't gotten that with this. This does not feel like it's more than the sum of its parts. This feels like I could build something better for less money and have everything that this is offering to me. Yeah. How would it scale against other pre-builds? That's a good question. I think a pre-build would be fairly decent. Let's take a very quick casual look at PC Specialist and see what £1,200 gets you from PC Specialist, and then I think I'll leave it at that. So hold up a sec. Let's go back to browser with chat. Also, just rolling off of our gaming laptop idea here. We reckon that 5060 was crap. Was there anything better without going to £1,500? There's £1,200, and that has also got a 5060 in it. Yeah, going back to the gaming laptop argument, it looks like you're going to have to go to a 5070 Ti before you're going to get something that's actually decent, and you're going to end up paying about £1,500. So I think the gaming laptop is defeated unless you actually need it to be a laptop. So yeah. Okay, right. PC Specialist. Die. Okay. Right. Configure a custom PC. Home Office Gaming. Gaming Professional. Well, let's go with the cheaper one. Let's go with AMD. Okay, Ryzen 3 4100. Okay, so let's configure this with something that isn't garbage. Oh, this is going to be tough. Let's go, right, 5700X. Wow, they're not offering AM5 at this spec. Okay, well, let's try and build as cheap as possible first. Cheap motherboard, sure. 16 gigs of RAM. GT710, gosh. And let's put a 9060 XT in it. 8 gig, sure. Fine. Let's have 1 terabyte of storage. Um, 450 watt power supply, really? Oh my god. Okay, let's just have a let's put in a 750. What does that do to the price? Okay, it was still tolerable. Standard AMD CPU cooler, fine. Okay, I think we've got something workable there. What happens if we no operating system? Yeah, we can no operating system and save ourselves 90 quid. So that brings us out at 988 for that basic build. So this is going to come, if that's for an AM4 build with a 9060 XT, which is going to annihilate this thing, and we're at about £1,000. And that's something that the average person could go and buy. What preset options have they got? Let's go back and do some presets. Configure featured systems. Here we go. £1,000. 5500 and a 9060 XT. Oh man, these are really weird. 5700X and a 5070. 1440. Oh man. Oh, their basic options have Ryzen 5500s in them. Ugh. This feels like a slightly unfair fight. Maybe if I checked through some other system integrators. You know what, let's just quickly check CyberPower PC, then I'm giving up on this. Because these guys are kind of shooting themselves in the foot by their basic pre-builds having garbage CPUs in them. Vivid Infinity. Okay, right. Bundle. Pre-built gaming PC. Shop now. Shop the range. Their base prices are pretty high. Okay, here's 850 Ryzen 5500. 1100 gets you a 5700, and again we go up to a 9060. But well, again, if we're gonna argue it, we've got a 5700X, which is fine, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 9060 16 gig for £1,100. That's a perfectly cromulent gaming PC. It costs about the same as a Steam machine and will annihilate it. Still got to remove that window tax. So in that case, it only gets cheaper. So then it would be £1,000. And that's assuming that, and however, if we're pretending to be a dumb consumer who doesn't know that, you still pay £1,100. So you still get something that is going to be miles better. And if they go, well, I want SteamOS on it, and I'm like, okay, well, you could install that. This comes with SteamOS, install it. So how much are you going to pay for it to come with SteamOS pre-installed? If you're stupid and can't install it yourself, you know. So yeah. So yeah, the pre-built computer wins. Pre-built computer wins, and a custom build slays. Because if you're custom building, you can basically wipe £200 or £300 off of that price. So yeah. And the repair parts are available. Yeah. Okay, well, yeah. I think that's about all she wrote. Oh, no signal. Good job, Graham. Oh well. Yeah. It is both everything I expected. It's everything that I expected it to be, but just part of me hoped that if I had one in front of me and tried it for myself, I would see something that I hadn't already seen. But yeah. It makes me sad to say it, but no, I don't think it's good. I think it's bad. It's a cute little box. If it were half the price, we could have a conversation. It's a small PC. Yeah. Are we not comparing apple to oranges slightly? SFF for the same price? This is true. This is true. However, how much is small form factor worth? Like, this thing is designed to sit next to a TV. So, like, it doesn't have to be small form factor. So, yeah. At least you didn't pay for it. Yeah. Any chance to put a SteamOS on a Ryzen AI mini PC or something? Yeah, there's going to be options. So, that's all I got, folks. I'm leaving. I'm going to meditate on this and put my thoughts into. I'm going to try and put my thoughts into a script and just say what my thoughts on it are. I don't think it's going to be anything that you guys haven't heard from other people or anything that we haven't discussed here. I'm just going to try and condense them. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm a little bit sad. I kind of hoped that I would that using it for real, I would see something that I hadn't seen. But yeah. And on this somber note, have a good night. Yeah, that's it. I'm a little bit sad about it. I wanted to see something. I wanted to go, you know what, now I've got it in front of me, it's pretty good. Performance was higher than expected, but that's not because it's a Steam machine. That's just because, you know, modern hardware is pretty good these days. Yeah. Very underwhelming. All right, I'm out of here. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you want to hear more of my dumb voice, I will be streaming on Twitch tomorrow at 7 p.m. UK time. More videos coming up in the future. I will see you all soon. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you all soon. Yeah. All right. Bye, everyone. Doodles. Bye. Oh, no. I've got to find the right thing. There it is. Live streaming. End stream.